baby, how I feel. I'm gonna rip it up. I'm gonna shake it up. I'm gonna break it up.
Rock and roll music has a rich history rooted in the American experience. But where did it all begin? As we journey into the 21st century, the genre remains vibrant, yet some fascinating facts about its origins have faded from memory. Over time, the definition of rock music has changed, giving rise to various categories within the genre. What we consider rock today is not necessarily the same as it was in the 1950s. So in this video, we will bring 12 less-known facts about rock and roll. Lead Belly was released from jail by singing a song for governor. Lead Belly was a versatile American singer who left a mark on various music genres. But what sets him apart is the extraordinary story of how he sang his way to freedom not once, but twice. During his first stint in prison, Lead Belly earned his nickname while serving time for a serious crime. His big break came when he was asked to perform for Texas Governor Pat Neff. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Lead Belly composed a heartfelt song pleading for a pardon and sang it repeatedly for the governor. His hard work paid off, and after a year of serenading the governor, Lead Belly was granted a full pardon and released from prison. However, Lead Belly found himself back behind bars due to another incident. This time, he employed the same strategy, writing a song and singing it to a different governor in hopes of securing his release. Whether it was the song or the Great Depression-era budget issues facing the prison, Lead Belly was granted early release. But Lead Belly's journey to freedom wasn't without its challenges. In 1918, he was involved in a fatal altercation that landed him a 30-year sentence in Huntsville prison. However, after 7 years, Lead Belly appealed to Governor Pat Neff once again with his music, and this time, Neff broke his campaign promise and pardoned him. Queen has the longest-running fan club. In the world of rock and roll, few bands command as much adoration as Queen. Formed in 1970, this British powerhouse quickly rose to fame with its iconic hits and electrifying performances. But beyond their music, Queen boasts another remarkable achievement, the longest-running fan club in rock and roll history. Yes, you heard it right. Queen captured the hearts of millions around the globe. Hits like Bohemian Rhapsody and We Will Rock You solidified their status as rock royalty, earning them a dedicated fan base. In 1973, shortly after the release of their debut album, Queen established their official fan club. Little did they know this would mark the beginning of an enduring legacy. At its peak, the fan club boasted over 20,000 members. Even after the passing of Freddie Mercury in 1991, Queen's fan club continued to thrive. Despite the ever-changing landscape of music and the emergence of new artists and trends, the club persevered, retaining an estimated 9,500 members to this day. What sets Queen's fan club apart is not just its longevity, but the unwavering devotion of its members. These fans, known affectionately as Queenies, span generations, united by their love for the band's music and legacy. The Rolling Stones logo is inspired by a Hindu goddess. When you think of iconic symbols in rock and roll, one image that immediately comes to mind is the Rolling Stones logo, the famous tongue and lips. But what many fans might not realize is the intriguing inspiration behind it. Designed by John Pache, a student at the London Royal College of Art, the logo draws its inspiration from the Indian Hindu goddess Kali. Kali, often depicted with a protruding tongue and fierce expression, is a symbol of empowerment, transformation, and liberation. It was Mick Jagger who insisted on incorporating Kali's image into the band's logo. During the 1960s, Jagger developed a fascination with Hindu culture and spirituality, which influenced his artistic vision for the band. The result is a striking logo that captures the essence of the Rolling Stones' rebellious spirit. With its bold lines and vibrant colors, the tongue and lips logo has become synonymous with the band's identity, adorning posters, t-shirts, and album covers around the world. Stevie Nicks is the only woman to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice. From her iconic role in Fleetwood Mac to her illustrious solo career, Nicks has left an indelible mark on the music industry. But perhaps her most impressive achievement is being the only woman to be included twice in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In 1998, Nix made history when she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame alongside her fellow band members of Fleetwood Mac. This honor recognized the band's monumental impact on the rock music landscape. But Nix's journey didn't end there. In 2019, she shattered barriers once again as she was inducted into the Hall of Fame for a second time, this time as a solo artist. This rare distinction solidified Nix's status, breaking down gender barriers and paving the way for future generations of female rock musicians. Reports indicate that Nix was deeply honored by this recognition, especially considering she was the only woman among 22 men who have achieved the same feat. The phrase rock and roll has multiple meanings. While saying the phrase rock and roll, you may think of guitars wailing and crowds dancing, but its roots run much deeper than the music we know today. Dating back to the Middle Ages, the word roll was used to describe sexual encounters, while rock referred to shaking or disturbing someone. Together, rock and roll initially described the movement of a ship at sea. As time progressed, particularly in the 20th century, rock and roll took on new meanings. Young people used it to describe sexual acts or the act of dancing, highlighting the rhythmic movements of the body when music played. This usage hinted at the energy and excitement associated with the phrase. It wasn't until the 1950s in America that rock and roll truly emerged as a distinct music genre. The phrase gained widespread recognition in 1951 when disc jockey Alan Freed promoted it on mainstream radio. With his influential platform, Freed helped popularize rock and roll as a term associated with a specific style of music characterized by its energetic beats and rebellious spirit. The Doors are the pioneers of billboard advertising in music. Back in the swinging 1960s, when rock and roll was on the rise, one band took a bold step that would change the way musicians promoted themselves forever. The Doors, famous for hits like Light My Fire and Break On Through, made history as the first band to advertise themselves on a billboard. The mastermind behind this innovative marketing move was Jack Holtzman, the founder of Elektra Records. Holtzman saw an opportunity to showcase the Doors in a big way by reserving a billboard near the iconic Chateau Marmont Hotel in Los Angeles. For $1,200 a month, he secured a prime spot that would catch the eye of people. The location was strategic. The Chateau Marmont was situated near the Whiskey A Go-Go, where the Doors had gained a following as the house band. By placing the billboard nearby, Holtzman ensured that influential figures in the music industry couldn't miss it. The impact was immediate. The Doors billboard not only garnered attention, but also signaled a new era in music promotion. Bands began to recognize the power of outdoor advertising as a way to reach a wider audience and establish their brand. For the Doors, the billboard was just the beginning. Their music continued to captivate audiences around the world, and their legacy as pioneers of rock and roll endures to this day. Elvis Presley was hated so much that his effigies were once burned. Elvis Presley, famously known as the King of Rock and Roll, captured the hearts of millions with his energetic performances and undeniable charisma. However, his journey to stardom was not without controversy. In 1956, Elvis accepted a lucrative deal to appear on The Ed Sullivan Show, a popular television program at the time. This decision sparked uproar among some Americans who were uncomfortable with Presley's provocative style of music and his suggestive dance moves. Initially, Ed Sullivan himself had reservations about featuring Elvis on his show due to concerns about the perceived sexual nature of his performances. However, after witnessing the success of a rival show that featured Presley, Sullivan changed his mind and extended an invitation to the young star. Elvis's first appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show was met with enthusiasm from his fans, but it was his second appearance that caused a stir. Many viewers found Elvis's performance to be too suggestive for television, leading to outrage in cities like Nashville and St. Louis. Some individuals even went as far as burning and hanging effigies of Presley in protest. Despite the backlash, Elvis returned for his third and final appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show. To appease the critics, the show producers decided to only film Elvis from the waist up, minimizing the provocative elements of his performance. The origin of the devil horns salute. The iconic devil horn salute is a staple among rock stars worldwide, but its origin is still controversial. While two prominent rockers, Gene Simmons and Ronnie James Dio, both lay claim to its invention, the truth remains elusive. Gene Simmons, known for his role in the band Kiss, asserted in his autobiography that he was the first to popularize the gesture. However, evidence suggests otherwise. Ronnie James Dio, another legendary rocker, has a more compelling claim. According to reports, Dio credited his grandmother with introducing him to the hand gesture, which she called the evil eye. Inspired by this familial connection, Dio adopted the symbol early in his career and made it a fashion statement. In a 2001 interview, Dio acknowledged that he may not have been the first to use the sign, but emphasized his role in popularizing it. In 2017, Gene Simmons attempted to trademark the symbol as his own creation, but ultimately withdrew the claim amid controversy. Mick Jagger's hit song Sympathy for the Devil, inspired by Baudelaire. Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, the dynamic duo behind the Rolling Stones, crafted one of their most iconic songs, Sympathy for the Devil. While the exact inspiration behind the song remains a mystery, reports suggest that French poet Charles Baudelaire played a significant role. According to Mick Jagger, Baudelaire's writings guided his thoughts when composing the song. Baudelaire's exploration of themes related to Satan and the human condition likely influenced the dark lyrics of Sympathy for the Devil. However, Baudelaire wasn't the sole inspiration. Jagger also drew from the novel The Master and Margarita, which delves into the character of Satan. The combination of Baudelaire's literary influence and the themes explored in the novel contributed to the creation of this legendary song. Despite Jagger's uncertainty about the exact origins of the song's concept, it's clear that Baudelaire's work left a lasting impression on his creative process. Frank Sinatra's critique of rock and roll. Frank Sinatra, a legendary figure in the world of music, left an indelible mark on the 20th century with his timeless songs and captivating performances. However, Sinatra's opinions on rock and roll were less than favorable. In a 1957 article penned for the French magazine Western World, Sinatra expressed his disappointment for the emerging genre of rock and roll. He famously described it as a rancid-smelling aphrodisiac and criticized those who performed it as cretinous goons. Sinatra's critique of rock and roll sparked controversy and divided opinions among music fans and critics alike. While some agreed with his assessment, others saw his words as an attack on a burgeoning musical movement that spoke to a younger generation. Despite Sinatra's harsh words, rock and roll continued to grow in popularity and influence, shaping the cultural landscape for decades to come. Sister Rosetta Tharp is known as the godmother of rock and roll for her pioneering use of electric guitar. Sister Rosetta Tharp may not be a household name for everyone, but her impact on rock and roll music is undeniable. Inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2018, Tharp is celebrated as a pioneer in the genre, earning her the title of the Godmother of Rock and Roll. Even as a child, her talent on the guitar was evident, and she continued to practice her skills throughout the 1920s, eventually relocating to Chicago, where she immersed herself in gospel music. What set Tharp apart was her groundbreaking electric guitar technique. She was one of the first to use heavy distortion on her electric guitar, bringing gospel and spiritual music into the mainstream. Her influence extended beyond her music, shaping the sound of British blues in the 1960s and contributing to the formation of the electric blues genre. Tharp's guitar technique was innovative and ahead of its time. She favored a thumb pick for single lines and rhythm, allowing her other fingers to pick out intricate delta licks. Her collection of guitars, including the iconic National Triolean Resonator, reflects her dedication to her passion. There would be no rock and roll without Chuck Berry. Rock and roll is a sound that has echoed through generations. But have you ever wondered who laid the foundation for this electrifying genre? Look no further than Chuck Berry, the man who shaped rock and roll as we know it today. Born in 1926 in California, Berry's journey to becoming the father of rock and roll was anything but conventional. Despite his rocky start, Barry found peace and expression in music. With his trusty guitar in hand, he unleashed a sound that would change the course of music history forever. Barry's signature guitar lick became the heartbeat of rock and roll. It was a sound so distinct, so electrifying, that it captivated audiences around the world. His 1955 hit, Maybelline, marked the dawn of a new era. But Barry didn't stop there. With hits like Roll Over Beethoven, Rock and Roll Music, and Johnny B. Good, he solidified his place in music history. Each song was a testament to Barry's genius, blending infectious rhythms with rebellious lyrics that spoke to a generation hungry for change. This brings us to the end of our video. Hope you like our video. We'd really appreciate your support. If you could lend us a hand by following us, clicking on the bell icon for notifications, and leaving your valuable comments. It would mean a lot to us. Sending you warm regards from our corner of the world. Take care and goodbye for now.